Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving deep into a fascinating and troubling political story that has been playing out since 2024 and will come to a head in June 2025. I'm talking about the controversial Trump birthday parade, the No Kings Act, and the political spectacle that surrounds it. These events have sparked protests, debates over presidential power, and questions about the very structure of our government. Stick around as we break it down, timeline, key players, and all the twists and turns in between. Let's start with the timeline, because the events leading up to June 14th, 2025 are deeply intertwined. Here's how it all unfolded. 2024. In August 2024, Democratic Senator Chuck Schumer from New York introduces the No Kings Act. The purpose? To limit presidential immunity and ensure that no president, including Donald Trump, could evade legal consequences for their actions while in office. This bill was drafted at a time when Trump was facing multiple criminal charges related to the January 6 Capitol attack and his handling of classified documents. Trump's legal strategy, claiming near absolute immunity for his actions, made the No Kings Act even more critical. The bill aimed to reinforce checks on executive power, making sure no president is above the law. Fast forward to October 2024, Trump's legal troubles intensify as he faces more charges. By then, he's already publicly declaring that he would use executive privilege and other legal protections to defend his actions while in office. The No Kings Act is seen as a reaction to this, aiming to ensure that no president can hide behind the office to escape justice. In December 2024, Republican leadership in Congress backs the National Defense Authorization Act for fiscal year 2025, which includes broad funding provisions for military operations and ceremonial events. Among these is a major military parade scheduled for June 14, 2025, in Washington, D.C., officially, to mark the U.S. Army's 250th anniversary and Flag Day. However, because the date also coincides with Donald Trump's birthday, critics argue that the event functions more as a glorification of Trump, using federal resources for a politically charged military spectacle. 2025. Now we enter 2025, the year things start to heat up. In January, Trump announces that he intends to speak at the parade. Critics start to point out that this is starting to feel less like a national event and more like a self-serving spectacle. Public backlash begins to grow, with many questioning whether it's appropriate to use taxpayer money for a parade designed to honor a single politician, especially one who is embroiled in legal controversy. By February, the No Kings Day protests start to form. Grassroots organizations, like March for Democracy and Citizens for Accountability, begin organizing for June 14, 2025, which they now declare as No Kings Day, a day of resistance against the militarization of political celebrations and a cult of personality around Trump. These protests will push for accountability, particularly around issues of presidential immunity. In April 2025, the Happy Birthday Budget Act, introduced by Representative Steve Cohen of Tennessee, is brought forward to block federal funds for the parade. The bill makes the case that taxpayer dollars should not be used for what many see as an undemocratic spectacle, a political celebration of a president facing multiple criminal charges. The act also includes provisions to reinforce checks on executive power, aligning with a broader message of the No Kings Act. By May 2025, pressure continues to build. Democrats push for more legislative action, while Republicans double down on their support for the parade. The clash between fiscal responsibility and patriotic celebration grows. Meanwhile, the No Kings Day protests gain momentum, with activists preparing for a large-scale demonstration on June 14th, when the parade is set to take place. When June 14th, 2025 finally arrives, we will see both the military parade, celebrating Trump's birthday and the Army's anniversary, and the No Kings Day protests, calling for democratic accountability and limiting presidential power. It's a clash of political symbols, a moment of reckoning for the country's political norms. Closing thoughts. Now, here's the kicker. How is it that this could even happen? We've got between a $25 to $45 million military parade planned around one man's birthday, while protests are rising to stop it? How can the system allow for personal celebrations of political figures to be funded by taxpayers? How can legislation become so deeply partisan that we're battling over symbolism instead of real policy change? This all highlights a fundamental flaw in our system: the political theater and the partisan gridlock that gets in the way of true governance. A bill like the No Kings Act, which was meant to protect democracy and uphold the rule of law, could easily get tangled up in partisan warfare. And a parade that should be about honoring the military becomes a symbol of political control, with real consequences for national unity and values. This is the reality of our current system, where political spectacle often outweighs substantive policy, and the public's voice becomes secondary to partisan loyalty. Whether or not you support Trump, this entire process reveals just how counterintuitive and broken our system can seem at times. We're living through a moment where executive power is being tested, where our political system is being challenged, and where we need to take a step back and ask, is this really how our democracy is supposed to work? Let me know what you think about this crazy timeline in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into American politics and democracy in action. Thanks for listening.